Ladies and gentlemen, it's getting real. The lockdown over feel is here, and the unlocking of New South Wales, you can feel it. What does that mean to property? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it right now because we're feeling it in property.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 556. What will the first 60 days after lockdown look like in real estate for landlords, for buyers, for sellers? Mark and I are going to talk about it this morning because I think all they're thinking about at the moment is everyone's sort of planning and anticipating once we're open. But I don't think many people are sort of thinking, well, what actually will that look like? Like sellers, for example, agents, once lockdown's finished. But do you have a plan in motion that once it's open, it activates? Like, this is what I'm doing, then this, and then this. Everyone's just talking about, it's almost like saying, I'll do it later. It's like, yeah, but when and how will it look like? So Mark, where do you want to start? Landlords. I think landlords would probably be one of the biggest shifts in sentiment, mentality, especially with arrears, especially with commercial.
Yeah, look, and look, you're starting to see, since they've announced this picnic thing, last night was a crazy night for people being out for a picnic in the wind on a lot of the beaches of the northern beaches, and you can really, really feel that, hang on a sec, the rumble has started and it's happening. So, you were saying, Virgil, what was the question? Landlords?
Yeah, I think let's start with landlords. The first 60 days, will there be any change? And my sort of pick is probably the sentiment and the leniency. Landlords have been pretty good, but they've copped it as well, especially in commercial. I just think it'll be pretty firm with tenants, maybe like we need to start seeing some income coming in. Otherwise, I'm going to find a new tenant. So I think, what do you think?
I think certainly in the northern beaches with rentals, we are heading towards, in the next 60 days, probably some of the lowest stock levels we've ever seen. And what I mean is the lack of availability of stock to rent, be it commercial or be it residential. We've even seen that happen in the last 4 weeks. A lot of stuff getting snapped up and our stock levels are sitting low. So, unfortunately, that's an environment for rents to go up when there's a lack of stock, but also naturally being, not only is it as the northern beaches warms up, people will get more attracted to moving to the area as opposed to winter. But with the COVID, we need a word, it's the COVID unlocking, the reversal of lockdowns, say if we call that. I think that's going to be super, super exciting for rentals, and we're going to see a little bit where we haven't seen rents move much at all in probably 5 or 7 years. I think we're going to start seeing rents move up.
Yeah, and I think there will be a big plan for the demand, because I think a lot of people coming out of this lockdown will think this will probably be one of the last we have, considering everyone's sort of vaccinated, and they'll be like, well, there's no need to. So anyone sort of holding off that move may look to move. So we could have a big surge in demand for rentals, plus owners being a little bit like, hey, we're open, you got to be paying your rent. So I think that combination could really spice up that rental market. And what we've said on previous shows with basically having no Christmas break in real estate, we could really see that people moving into properties till the end of December and really early in January. Now,
I reckon, Burge, if I was a tenant, whether it's commercial or residential, right now I would be trying to lock in a long lease.
Yeah. Speak with your agent, see if you can lock something in now. Yes.
Your rents, I reckon your rents are going to go up in the next, very rapidly, particularly in the next quarter. Particularly into the new year and the next year or two. advice to tenants is lock your leases in, get a strong lease in there.
Now, what do you think in sales, residential sales? Where do you see that market for sellers and buyers the first 60 days?
I reckon the fact is a lot of stock's coming to market. We've seen that stock change 10% just in the last week. That's the amount of stock hitting the market on the Northern Beaches. So there's going to be a lot of stock coming to the market. That number's going to bring a bit more affordability back into the market. Houses have had an unbelievable run in our area. I think that's calmed down, and I think that's going to calm down a little bit further. But I think units are going to have a nice little run now because the houses ran so far, units didn't keep up. So I think units will actually keep coming on gradually. And so it's not trouble for houses, but certainly a leveling out of pricing for houses. And for units, I think they'll just continue to grow nicely.
Yeah,
and selection.
Yeah, because we saw a lot of house areas 40 to 50% growth, and units were between 10 to 20%. So there's still a big buffer there. And at one stage when we sort of picked at the beginning of the year, houses were up 20% and units were still down 1%. So we sort of picked that trend. There's not supposed to be that much of a gap between. And we have seen the market level out the last sort of month. Like, for example, Newport, which was at one stage 2 months ago, was up 70% for the past 12 months, is now sitting at up 50%. So there has been some stability, and that's probably due to the low stock level. So it will be interesting to see where a lot of suburbs bounce back to with when we open. The affordability, I think, I don't see the market going down. So that you can sort of be like, well, it's more stability. I think that will come into the market because when your knockdown's gone from 1.2 to 2 million, I don't see it going anywhere. It's going to sit steady. So we'll have a bit more stability in the market that way. What do you reckon people...
And rates are going to stay low, Burge. Rates are going to stay low. You know, I think it's pretty bloody clear. Like we've tried to like a ragdoll shake up these interest rates, and they're just sticking. They just won't move. They won't go up. Certainly not. There's no expectations of down, but on the way up, no way. What's Lacey Novak got to say?
There'll be more stock, however, more buyers too. It's going to remain strong and fast. Yeah, 100% agree. But it will be interesting. Just that whole buy process has really shrunk with people during lockdown because when you think about it, if people normally can only see properties on a Saturday, each Saturday they're going to see properties during the lockdown, because we may see days on market expand a little bit because people are back to work. Because when you think about it, if you were at home lockdown, you could see a property Saturday and then go see it Monday, think about it Tuesday and do everything. You could almost fit in what would normally take a week or two to process into a couple of days. So transactions were very fast. We experienced that with residential. So you may see days on market string out a little bit as people
good point. Working. Really good point. Yep.
And also where auctions come back a bit. I looked at a post which said days on market New South Wales has shrunk, but that's because auction numbers dropped from 800 a week to 500. And with an auction, you're guaranteed 4 weeks on market, for example. But when you're doing a private treaty, you can sell in week 1, sell in week 2, which brings it in. So there's some stats out there which aren't a true representation of how the market's going. So we'll see there.
Now, people that are out there, I want to know what you think. So make sure you're on the Novak channel if you want to comment live. Let us know what you think the market's going to do in the next 30, 60 and 90 days as we unlock our state. I think it's real interesting, guys. Talk to us.
And Luke says more stock being crashed. No, I think the only thing I'll ever put, like stock levels, we're not going to have that type of flexibility or vulnerability. The only thing that would initiate a crash is if you refer back to the episode we did maybe last month with like the 5 pillars of our market, tax incentives, immigration, population growth, those type of things. If they don't change, then we're always going to have a steady market. So,
You know what I've been saying in appraisals to clients that are selling? I've been urging them to put their property on the market today. And I've been in a couple of appraisals in Manly Vale, in 3 in Manly Vale in the last week, and everyone's like ready to go, is thinking, "Yep, about 4 weeks' time we're going to hit it." And I'm going, no, guys, if you can, right now, when there's still a chronic lack of stock, hit it on the market, get a great price. Don't wait till December. And it's not coming from a hungry salesperson, desperate salesperson, just needing to get stock on the market. It's coming from a holistic, man, this is what I can see within the marketplace. It would be, if you're a family member, this is the advice I'd give you.
Yeah, I'm just looking at here, the market share, I track it. We're sitting around 400, 450 properties. And even before the latest lockdowns, we were sort of up around 500, 550. So if there's an extra 10, 20% stock levels out there, just means there's less pressure on pricing per property. And we're seeing just as many buyers out there and inquiries come through. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add on to that, Mark?
Luke Moroney's comment, market will be steady. Longer days on market. Most people won't be in a rush to sell until June 2022. Why June 2022?
Tax time, possibly. End of the financial year.
Pretty incredible market, man.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible market. So, Birch, one thing that I want to cover is arrears for commercial and for residential. So it's obviously been a hard time for people within the marketplace in hospitality. It's been in travel. There's and some business operators. So our arrears has gone very high that we've been managing. Frustratingly, it's been a wicked job. Commercial arrears and residential arrears not that bad. It's actually not all the tenants are pretty sticking to their commitments on their lease and rent that they're paying. How do you think that's going to change in the next 30, 60 to 90 days with arrears control? Landlord expectations, tenant expectations.
I reckon landlord expectation is going to be probably a bit over the top. Just because a business is open doesn't mean they get back to their sales straight away. It could take a month for a restaurant to even get back to figures that break even to open. Some restaurants may not even open from day one till they see how things are. Because if you imagine a restaurant, they've got to probably get thousands of dollars worth of stock just to be open. They may need to do a couple of weeks in advance. So I think landlords will think to get full rent from day one, and I don't think that's gonna happen for a lot of businesses that will ramp up. So I think it will just be once more conversations with owners and tenants, bring them together and speak realistically, because depending how things, for example, some restaurants may not open because how they're saying vaccinated, unvaccinated, a restaurant may open for a couple of weeks and just not have enough numbers to be feasible, and they opt to close and stay closed until things change. So there will be a bit of uncertainty in that market. We saw it last time when we came out of lockdown, or we were in half lockdown. People stayed closed because it wasn't worth being open, buying all the food, the uncertainty there. So I think you've landlords, agents should still be treating it like a lockdown, talking, communicating. It's not like back to normal. Definitely not. I don't think it will be for 6 months. So,
well, it's definitely the golden mile for hospitality over the next 3 to 4 months. But I think what people forget is the actual logistics and the actual costs to reopen some of these facilities is just very, very inhibitive and very painful. So it doesn't mean because they're open they're making good money. And I know rehiring, retraining staff, repositioning businesses in the marketplace, very, very expensive for some. So I think landlords and tenants have to be considerate about that, and the community to try to support those people that have been closed for extended periods through lockdown. I think with all of your might and all of your and all that you can do, try to support those types of businesses if you can. Like wedding businesses, for instance. If you can book a function in, and it's going to be because we're open, I think that's really going to help these guys that have been on off their feet for a long time. So I think let's get behind the businesses. My point is let's get behind the businesses that have heavily been affected as soon as we get unlocked.
Yeah, and keep the communication high. Alrighty, I think that's a wrap for this beautiful morning. Thank you.
Have a great day. Super Saturday.
Bye.